Good evening everybody, Suffolk Graham here from Rand Nerds. Welcome to my review of Doctor Who's New Year Day Special 2022, Eve of the Daleks. There might be some minor spoilers ahead, so if you're not feeling spoiled, turn off now. So, the Doctor and gang find themselves having to reset the TARDIS after all the issues with the Flux. So, reset the TARDIS and they land and find themselves in a storage unit. And what's particularly about it is they are stuck in a time loop. Them along with two other characters, Sarah and Nick. They are stuck in this time loop and there are Daleks about, and Daleks around and killing them. And when they kill them, the time loop resets. A slight neat twist on the idea is every time the time resets, it gets slightly shorter by a minute every single time. So you start off with, well, the first time it must be 9 minutes long, because the second time it starts with 8 minutes to go. So the first time, yeah, that would be right. And then every time they die, they gradually lose a minute every single time. So they're working with a more confined timeline. Interesting twist on the concept. I don't think I've ever seen it before. I've seen plenty of series have done the old time loop concept, but I've never seen it where they shorten the time loop every single time. So that was a nice, neat twist on the concept that I've not seen before. It's a very light-hearted episode, a very funny episode. It's got some issues tied with the time loop stuff itself, and that's what the characters get up to in the time they have. Frankly, is not feasible. They move about this massive facility. It's a self-storage facility over several floors. They move about it in milliseconds. I mean, right towards the end, when they've only got like 2 or 3 minutes left, they get in the lift and it gets them to where they need to go in like 5-10 seconds. But that's just not feasible. They get stuff moved. It's like, well, clearly you could not move that in a minute to go. You clearly couldn't do it. There's no way you're about to move it that fast. I mean, how fast are you guys that you can do it? So that doesn't really tally up. So you had to sort of like, it's a little bit more like hard, a bit more let go. So you have to sort of let that stuff go. But then when you're creating this pressure of, we've got a time that's getting smaller, it doesn't feel like it's getting smaller. It doesn't feel like they can't get stuff done because they're doing stuff which isn't feasible. Like I say, it's very light-hearted. It's got its funny moments. It's also got a certain moment that's going to make a lot of people very angry. A lot of certain parts of the are not going to like this. And to be honest, without giving away what happens, and what I'm sure you'll find out very quickly going through the internet anyway, the thing that's revealed, the thing that's sort of shown off, comes out of, in my opinion, nowhere. There is basically no foreshadowing of it, no build-up to it, and this is the Christian way's worst, in that he puts something in to just sort of like make a point, but it just comes out of nowhere. It feels like a sore from the episode. He did it back in like series 11 with like sort of like Yaz and Ryan's discussion behind the bins about modern day racism, which is obviously a problem in the world of modern day. It needs to be, it's a silly thing to have to exist, and we shouldn't have racism. But they discuss it, and it feels like a sore thumb. The episode just stands out for it doesn't move the plot forward, it doesn't drive the plot, it doesn't make no sense at all. And it just feels put in there as a bit like how like J.K. Rowling used to occasionally post stuff on Twitter, like, oh, I always so and so is like this and so like that, just sort of like feel relevant. It feels a bit like that. I'm not against the idea itself, absolutely not. I just feel that it was badly handled. By all means, put that stuff in there. I ain't got a problem with it. I know there's groups of others who hate that concept, but Doctor Who's about that. Doctor Who's all about sort of like, you know, being all accepting, all good and all that. But if you're going to do it delicately. Chris Chibnall just can't. He just sort of slams it in there for the sake of it, and didn't add anything to the episode. It didn't work into the episode. It had no build up to it. It felt completely left field, which is a shame. It could, if it had been handled better, it could definitely be something that could be done, but it's handled very badly. And if you're going to do that, you need to tread carefully and do it properly. The concept as a whole, I've not got a problem with. It's just the way it was handled that I've got a problem with. But forget about that. I say small part episode. I did enjoy this. It was light-hearted compared to how serious the Flux, which was a very serious set of episodes, although it had its light-hearted moments, very serious overall. This was a nice sort of like bit of breath of fresh air, and it sort of fitted in well. I like the self-contained episodes where there are a small group of people in a small space having to work through a problem, and the whole idea of the sort of times, which I'm thinking back from my history of Doctor Who, hasn't really been dealt with a lot. I'm trying to think if there's been another episode with time loops in it. And off the top of my head, I can't think of any. If you think of any, just put them in the comments. But the whole sort of concept is something that's not really been done much on Doctor Who. And it's an obvious one, really, when you think about it. And it's done fairly well, and I really did enjoy the concept. I enjoyed the sort of like start and ending. The humour in it as well was nice. The fact that Daleks have now got greater sort of Gatling guns, which sort of Doctor can't overrule and defeat, which apparently is a thing she could do. That was neat. So a lot of sort of neat things came out of this episode, and it was a fun episode to watch through. And it's definitely sort of the hour went by really quickly. So yeah, very good. Overall, I did enjoy this episode. Just, it's an episode not to think too hard about, because if you put your critical hat on, you go, well, they couldn't have got, but what they did, they could have done. Some bits have felt forced. There was a bit of forced writing in there, but just on New Year's Day with a beer, with a cider, whatever you're drinking, it's fine. It's fun and a bit goofy, and that's fine with me for Doctor Who episodes. I quite like those sort of episodes, to be honest. I like the sort of characters trapped in a small space. So overall, I did actually quite enjoy it. Effect-wise, it wasn't really a lot to do with like special effects, apart from the building falling down at the end, which was not brilliant, if I'm honest. Sorry, not a spoiler for that. The Daleks, I like the sort of Daleks machine gun. What I didn't like the effect was that when everybody died, they sort of like froze in space, and you sort of like bent back and froze. That felt very unnatural to me. I didn't like that so much. That looked a bit weird. I know they've done similar things in the past, but it just sort of looked a bit wrong. Didn't like that so much. As there wasn't really a lot of special effects really going on this episode. Daleks looked good as ever. Voiced very well by Nicholas Briggs. So, yeah, it is all right so far. So my final thoughts is I did like this episode. It's not the greatest episode up there. It definitely is not. But it was a fun, it was right for New Year's Day type episode. Nothing very heavy, nothing very serious. You want something a bit light-hearted, and it worked well for that, and it did a very nice, neat job of it. So I enjoyed it for that purpose. So neat episode overall. So very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also check us out on our podcast, of which we've got one tonight at about 9:30. Hopefully this video will be up after this video edited and up before 9:30, so you can see the podcast. So check us out on that live stream there. You can also watch our games nights. We've got a series on at the moment for over Christmas and New Year's about where we're playing We Were Here Together. Me and my friend Skaz, we were playing that. You can watch through that. And we resume game nights properly on the 4th of January, this Tuesday. You can watch my live stream at twitch.tv/SafaGram and my colleague Skaz's time stream at twitch.tv/SK4ZZI0US. So please check those out. Please watch those. But I hope you enjoyed the episode, video, and I look forward to seeing you on season 14 of Doctor Who. So until then, see you later.